This decision will have sweeping impacts on many of Trump's orders that have been blocked by judges this year. Trump is now saying he will promptly file to advance those orders. Now, to help break down what this ruling means for birthright citizenship and what this means for California, we want to bring in constitutional law attorney Jeff Lewis. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. A lot to unpack here. First, can you go into more detail on how this order limits the courts, not just on this topic, but so many others?
Yeah, the headline is civil rights lawyers in these kinds of cases are now going to have to jump through the hoops of class certification or class action procedures to proceed in cases like this. And in the specific case here, the parties have already filed an amended complaint seeking class certification.
So moving pretty fast. Well, what were your biggest takeaways from the justices who dissented? Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson.
Well, first, the dissenting justices pointed out the obvious question that the premise of the whole lawsuit, that citizenship, birthright citizenship is guaranteed by the Constitution, is a valid premise. The majority didn't even address the merits of the case. But they also pointed out, look, there's a historical use of these nationwide injunctions, and the limiting the power of district court judges today puts a burden on civil rights plaintiffs like this.
So what does this mean for the 14th Amendment? Because it is important to note that this ruling is not directly on this 14th Amendment.
That's right. This case is just going to proceed to an adjudication of that question, and then the Court of Appeal and ultimately the Supreme Court will rule on that question, the merits. The only thing that was determined today is during the pendency of the lawsuit, during the 2 or 3 years that this lawsuit is pending, what's going to happen to people and their right to have citizenship? And the answer is the injunction is going to be very narrow to the plaintiffs in the case.
Now, specifically for California, which has numerous lawsuits against the Trump administration and some of the actions the president has taken, what does that mean for all of that going forward?
You're going to see more lawsuits filed and more lawsuits with class action allegations, because no more can you find one judge in one obscure county to issue a nationwide injunction. Instead, you're going to have to ask a judge to certify a class and follow those procedural rules, which are cumbersome.
And you talked about it being cumbersome. How confusing is this order? For the regular person watching this, trying to figure out, okay, what's going on? Birthright citizenship, is that allowed? Is that not allowed?
Yeah, if you're an expectant mother and you have questions about whether or not your baby is going to have citizenship, your best course of action is to go find a lawyer and file your own lawsuit or join a class action. But yeah, today's ruling introduces a lot of doubt in this case and all civil rights cases in terms of who can benefit from lawsuits.
Right, and for a lot of people, navigating the courts is already a confusing process, and this potentially can make it even more confusing. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us here on this midday.
Thanks for having me.